So Ian Gannell, Works and Services Director at Camden Council. Ian, can you please explain the proposal that will be before Council next week?
Sure, Matthew. At the request of a resident, we've been asked to consider whether we'd make available some burial sites for people of the Islamic faith in our general cemetery. We've had a look at it and taken into consideration what the population figures are, as well as the current layout of the cemetery, which has been in place now for over a century, once it was developed by the Department of Lands back in the late 1800s. What we've determined is that we could make available, based on population figures and burial practices, 70 burial spaces for people of the Islamic faith. That would mean creating a separate section, and the reason for that is that the graves are aligned differently. So rather than facing the normal or the current way that we have them laid out in a fairly well east-west direction, those graves will be north-south, so that people can be buried facing Mecca, which is part of their practice. So we'll be putting that to Council on Tuesday evening, and the decision then is with the councillors. Following that, if it's approved, we'll be consulting with people who run Islamic burials, as well as people who are already involved with our general cemetery in terms of their responsibilities for various sections, and then come back to Council with the final recommendation in due course.
And I understand the proposal or the application is from an elderly Islamic gentleman, just as an individual. Can you just confirm that?
That's our understanding, that the person has been a resident in Camden for some time, and his approach has been along the basis that he wishes to be buried in Camden as a resident of Camden.
And can you just briefly explain the process before Council next week on Tuesday night? Obviously, the recommendation will be, the councillors will vote on the recommendation to allow the dedication for an Islamic section at the cemetery.
That's correct. The recommendation will be an in-principle approach first, but we need to go out with further consultation to make sure that we've got the right place, we've got it laid out correctly, and that the practices are understood so that we can actually properly accommodate the request.
And with Camden's population set to grow quite considerably in the next 20 or so years with the Southwest Growth Centre, I guess that's being taken into consideration in that recommendation, the fact that there will be a lot more people from different faiths and different cultures moving to Camden in the future.
Yes, Matthew. One of the things we've looked at is the population statistics out of the 2001 census and the 2006 census. And we've also taken into account the different practices. While population grows, so does cremation, but for the Islamic faith, cremation is not one of the options. So we've needed to take that into account when we've worked out just how many plots we should make available. As population grows, so will the demand, not only in Camden but also across Sydney, and therefore we, in operating our cemetery, have some approaches that try and make sure that we've got enough space available for our residents.
Thank you very much, Ian.
Thank you.